Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture and highly cerebral minds who have a lot to say. And yes, we are talking. It is important we drive the right conversation that informs, inspires, influences thoughts and action. If we say there's beauty in our diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture. We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation as we are the hope for the future. Yesterday's conversations shape today. What are you saying to shape your tomorrow? We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
On the breakfast, members of the Oyo State 97th House of Assembly allege the Deputy Governor of Oyo State, His Excellency Engineer Rauf Olaniyan, has been impeached. According to the Natural Oil Gas Suppliers Association, there's a possibility of an increase in the price of diesel in the country from 800 naira per litre to 1,500 naira. Also, we take a look at the papers this morning, bringing you great analysis and insight on the pages or front pages of a national dailies on the show. Welcome to The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. I am Messi Popo. It's good to have you join us this beautiful morning, Thursday morning to be very precise. I hope you're having a great day already. As always, we start off with conversations generating different reactions in different spaces. And top on the list is the train attack victims reunite or with family members. And it's something that a lot of persons have commended. Now, we understand the dynamics of, the security challenges and whether or not we are negotiating with terrorists or not negotiating as government or as individuals. But the most important thing is that, these persons have been reunited with members of their families, and that is very, very commendable as we have that reactions from different quarters. But also, we move away from that, looking at another concern. Army finds Chibok schoolgirl 8 years after. The Nigerian Army took to her verified Twitter handle, and on the tweet on that handle, he says, troops of 26th Task Force Brigade on patrol around Nogashi in Borno State on the 14th of June 2022 intercepted one Mrs. Mary and her son. She is believed to be one of the abducted girls from the GGSS Chibok in 2014. Further exploitations ongoing. This is from the verified Twitter handle of the Nigerian Army. Very, very interesting. Interesting, but this also has, gotten a lot of Nigerians talking whether or not, if you look at the tweets, it says believed, so you can't really say believe how sure. Was it that you had the Nigerian Army just passing by, taking a stroll, and then she was found 8 years after, just like that? or was there a deliberate search? This information not very clear and very precise. But some people are also saying that what is the guarantee that this is the exact person? Because how do you even, how sure are we? How sure are we? Do we have a database where we have, the names of these persons who've been kidnapped, and we can verify and we can say for sure, hey, this is X, Y, Z. So the questions are unending, and it still continues right here on, different spaces. But the most important thing is that life has been saved. If that's the case, if it's something to write home about, it's very, very important. Not away from this, it's the electoral issue in Yobe North, where you have Bashir Machina refusing to step down for Ahmed Lawan. Let's not forget that the Senate President had contested for the position of the president at the party level. And he didn't actually clinch the ticket. He didn't get the ticket, and so it has gotten a lot of people talking. It's a lot. It reminds me of a lot of things that has happened in the past. For instance, you find out that Bashir is saying that he cannot step down for Ahmed Lawan, in the sense that he contested this election unopposed. At the end of the day, you had INEC officials. You didn't really have anybody in Yobe North contesting the elections. At the party level, no one was interested. So you just had these candidate, just him alone, contesting the elections. And we also understand the fact that Ahmed Lawan was interested in the position of the president, the office of the president. But fortunately, that didn't happen. And what becomes of him? So there are several reports. Other reports are saying that he's lost at the presidential level, and also probably would be losing the ticket. But there's some conversations that are going on talking about having someone elected to hold the position, having someone elected to hold the card, in place, to hold the position. I don't know what that means, but I think that we have a lot to do with our electoral act. That's what it just shows us. Because what exactly should it be? Is it possible that you did not express any interest for becoming a senator representing your constituency at the party level? You did not purchase the form, and nothing actually happened. Is it also possible, for you to just also wake up and say, hey, I deserve to be here 23 years after? There's a lot of conversation going on. And the fact that one would also contest an election unopposed, it reminds me at a time where, the university days, I had a certain experience where I was not necessarily contesting, but there was also an opposition. And so you say, who would become the class rep or deputy class rep? And then there was an election, and then all of the candidates decided to say, hey, we're not contesting. And so he felt like victory emerged unopposed. But, in the case of Bashir, I really don't know how it is. It's quite interesting for me, but fingers are very crossed, and we'll see how all of this pans out. We'll take a break right now. When we return, we'll be looking at the front pages of the national dailies. Please stay with us.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, Plus TV Africa, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Here are success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
In raising our kids, parents should stop playing God.
The internet is actually using the people.
But when you are looking for money to help other people, then it becomes easy.
Don't rush into marriage. I always say this. You rush in, you rush out.
Family is the bedrock of every society and the essence of life.
On Today with John and Helen, we dig deep into family values in every sense of the word.
Join us every Saturday at 9:15 a.m. on Plus TV Africa, DSTV channel 408.
With you, we play a part in strengthening the values passed from generation to generation.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
What's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely, right? No question. He's a living legend. Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
It's not just the parents that have to do this. We put a lot of emphasis on government, we put a lot of emphasis on schools, but the service sector is completely left out of this conversation, and it's really important because they touch the families every day.
When we are making intervention, at the back of our mind, that plan that you're drawing up should also say on X amount of times or hours, you as the parents have to have X number of training.
Not just about the training, okay? So as we're collecting data in the center, you're collecting data at home. We give you the exact same plan.
From my own experience is that the children are usually the best advocates.
Absolutely.
Because the children have been informed and they have also experienced it, we find that they tend to go home and tell their parents the appropriate things to do.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 and they pay.
is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am. If you no talk, dem go beat you. Na 2,500 I dey pay.
For me, I wanted to change that culture. I didn't believe that until you see a white man or you see a foreigner in the kitchen before you can believe that, you know, good food is going to come out of that kitchen.
You can leverage on each other's spaces and, you know, sell. We believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better.
And my products are proudly made in Nigeria.
Made in Niger, showing every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. and repeats on Saturday at 8:30 a.m.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture and highly cerebral minds who have a lot to say. And yes, we are talking. It is important we drive the right conversation that informs, inspires, influences thought and action. If we say there's beauty in our diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture. We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation as we are the hope for the future. Yesterday's conversations shape today. What are you saying to shape your tomorrow? We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
This is The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. We sincerely apologize for bringing you off the press a little bit behind schedule due to some technical issues. But we're up and running now. We have Ezekiel Nyaitok who joins us via phone this morning. Ezekiel, it's good to have you join us this beautiful Thursday morning.
Thanks for having me. It's a wonderful morning.
All right, then let's go through the Daily Independent. ASUU Federal Government Committee may perfect fresh agreement soon. ASUU Federal Government Committee may perfect fresh agreement soon. That's what you have boldly written on the Daily Independent. And federal government says ASUU strike more complicated than initially anticipated. Sounds like a wordplay right there. Well, 3 airlines may collapse as aviation fuel hits 714 naira per liter. I mean, you also have the association saying there's a tendency of having 1,500 naira in the next 2 weeks if government does not intervene. Fuel marketers handling coins and lament forex scarcity. International Monetary Fund projects Nigeria's GDP growth at 3.4% inflation to remain elevated, and purchasing power further erodes as inflation hit 17.71%. We're talking about double digit, almost 8 years running. A dark horse may emerge. Tinubu's running mate is a figure of speech. I'm sure you want to figure that out. Party settles for Northeast candidates, Muslim ticket. Tinubu needs Muslim ticket to win election. This is what Carlos quoted to say. And Electoral Act reps to debate motion to override Buhari's veto on Section 84, subsection 8, and 60 days extension of voters' registration. NMMP 45 local firms jostle for 4 million liters supply contract. And NSCDC deploys 9,747 personnel for Ekiti Guba polls. You also have impeachment. 24 lawmakers signed notice to impeach Oyo deputy governor. We have not announced Atiku's running mate. That's what the PDP is saying. We move away from the Daily Independent. A quick look at The Nation. And on The Nation, last-minute intrigues in PDP over Atiku's running mate. Anxiety among party chiefs over choice. Aviation fuel hits 714 naira per liter as petrol queues returns. And Oyo Assembly slams misconduct charges against deputy governor. PDP orders Sean Ekiti Peace Park signing. MBS puts inflation rate at 17.71%. And just before we take our attention from The Nation newspaper this morning, issues in varsity union strike complicated, says Minister. Government ASUU talks ongoing. And our monarch to invoke curses on Catholic Church attackers. OPEC reports Nigeria's oil output decline. It's a lot of trouble for a lot of experts would say. But that's it on The Nation. And we have the Leadership newspaper this morning. I'll just be reporting almost differently, but some similarities with the headlines. 24 hours to INEC deadline. Northeast, Northwest lobby Tinubu for running mate, and PDP screens vice president candidate today. Nigeria's inflation soared to new height of 17.71%. Nigeria's inflation soared to new height of 17.71%. Strike. ASUU issues more complicated than Nigerians think. The federal government is quoted in that. What could it be? Unveil those behind our killing, Senate tells security agencies. And bandits sack 8 Kebbi and Niger villages and kill 33, abduct 30. Yobe senatorial ticket. Why I wouldn't step down for Lawan. You have, Beecher quoted on that. And that's the much we can take this morning. But just before then, reps move to override President Muhammadu Buhari on Electoral Act amended. We're looking at Section 84. If I'm not mistaken, subsection 8. That's the much we can take this morning on the leadership. And we have the punch this morning. Wike Okowa face panel today. Comes fight over Atiku's vice president slot. Atiku needs vice president that can help secure Nigeria from APC. Okowa's aide insists. Wike's structure will give Atiku victory. Ex-Rivers commissioners quoted an APC may unveil Tinubu's vice presidential candidate today amid Muslim ticket controversy. And Buhari orders or okays the TNC's unbundling NERC, orders 5,000 megawatts delivery July the 1st. I mean, for a population, what are we looking at now? Over 200 million people? 5,000 megawatts? Okay. Our lawmakers studying judgment on $1.7 billion Malibu scam case. That's what the federal government is quoted to say. And varsity lecturers orders spend 719 days on strike under Buhari. Only Lagos, Delta, Kaduna, 2 others pay pensions, PENCOM is quoted to say. It is really saddening if this is something to go by. You say Lagos, Delta, Kaduna, and 2 others pay pension. And 70 airlines failed in Nigeria. 3 may collapse soon. The AON is quoted on that. And just then, Ekiti governorship candidate signed Peace Pact Accord, and NSCDC deploys 9,747 personnel. Inflation surges again and hits 17.71% amid the rising price. Expert call for action as monkeypox spreads to 15 states. Oyo lawmakers begin moves to sack deputy governor. Owo massacre, you have Senate demands raid on killer's hideout. Rivers woman sells sister baby for 600,000. That's what police arrest suspect. Extend voter registration deadline. Reps urges INEC. These are the headlines this morning on some of the front pages of national dailies. Ezekiel Yaitok is with us this morning, and it's good to have you join us once again.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Ezekiel. Let's start off with the Daily Independent. The federal government ASU committee may perfect their fresh agreement soon. Now, on the other part, you also have the federal government says that the strike is more complicated than initially anticipated. Some of these headlines have reported this, but your thoughts on this ASU and the federal government, issues and disagreement? We're looking at 714 days right there. Do you think that this is rocket science? Is it impossible, to get to some form of agreement and settle this issue once and for all?
No, it's not rocket science at all. There are 2 issues involved. One is insincerity, and the second one is lack of commitment to good governance. And those 2 put together have kept not just ASU, not just the university system, but Nigeria where we are today. A lot of times we forget that the universities are research institutions where they have facts and data, because research boils down to facts and data, and statistics on a lot of issues, information and things in this country. They know about the monies that come into the country. They know about how these monies are spent. They understand the lack of sincerity of purpose on the side of government, and they're like, we are no less important than you are. Every time we have to shift for you, and this time it's come to a point where we can't take it anymore. I happen to be directly involved in it in the sense that my elder sister is a professor, and I know what they are going through. And we sit down, we talk, and they are willing to be understanding to the extent that government is willing to be sincere. But so long as government remains insincere, it's a game of two can play. And unfortunately, the losers on the long run are the young people. So I think that government should stop playing the ostrich. What makes it complicated? It's very simple. Put all the cards on the table. Let this man understand your financial situation, and also listen to him when he tells you, you are spending money here that is unnecessary. It can be cut and put here. You're not prioritizing us. You can get money for defense and all sorts of insecurity that is a lot of times considered to be contrived. And money is going there. But where you need to have what will be able to build this country and give us a better nation tomorrow, you don't just care about it. Education is not a priority to you. So these are the things that are not on the table. It's like everybody knows what the other person, which is typical of what playing the ostrich is all about. It's not rocket science. It's not very difficult. It's just that there is a high level of insincerity on the part of government and lack of commitment to good governance and the fundamentals of developing a country.
All right, Ezekiel. We also have consent on the Daily Independent newspaper. It talks about 3 airlines facing the possibility of a collapse as aviation fuel hits 714 naira per liter. You also have an association saying there's a likelihood that, in 2 weeks' time, diesel might just be going for 1,500 naira.
Again, this is no rocket science. What is the problem? We have the crude, and we send it out. The diesel comes from the crude. The aviation fuel comes from there. For 7 years, the same problem has persisted. Are we not thinking about the solution that is sustainable? Now, is anything coming as a shock or a surprise to us? The answer is no. Secondly, when you talk of a business, that business is either social service or it is a commercial enterprise that you undertake for your profit. The business of government is to set the enabling environment for businessmen to thrive, and based on that, inflate the economy. Aside from that, provide employment. But you find government that don't understand these dynamics and fundamentals in running government and governance. Because of strategic importance, a lot of times government needs to be able to intervene for social services. Now, flying should by right be something that is either an emergency or a luxury. I, for one, I live in Akwa Ibom State. I do a lot of business in Delta State. I have no business flying to Delta State because within how many hours? 3, I should be in Delta State from Akwa Ibom, 3 hours. But I can't do that. Every time I have to go to Delta State, I fly from Uyo to Lagos or Abuja, and then I fly to Asaba from either Lagos or Abuja. Can you imagine that? Because of 2 reasons. 1, the roads are not good. 2, the roads are not safe. In the past 7 years, are we not aware of these 2 problems? The nature of the roads and the safety on the roads. Today we are sitting and talking about APC, PDP, running mate, presidency. Are those the issues? Are we not listening to who will give us a sound bite of what governance is all about? I think we'll get to that point. But the concept of aviation fuel, there should be what you may call cost-reflective pricing. Anybody wants to fly should look at the cost. And we subsidize fuel for diesel, we subsidize petrol, we now subsidize aviation fuel, we subsidize NEPA or power holding, and yet we have no money. We are a fake country, and we need to stop. do the things we can do. This is a giant of Africa. We are trying to live up to our image when we do not have the resources, the competencies, the capacities. We do not put square pegs in square holes, round pegs in round holes, so that we can have a country that works. We are playing politics. I think the time has come when we should stop and have a total reset and ask ourselves, what do we want? And this is our time. And the media should help us to concentrate on leadership recruitment for the next dispensation and not talk about party. Look at all the headlines. Who is going to be the running mate? Who is going running mate of who? Of the most competent, of the biggest. Can you imagine? We are talking of running a country. Look at our sister Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. When WTO wanted to recruit a CEO, look at the processes that went rigorous processes. And is WTO bigger, more important than the biggest black nation in the world? I think the time has come when we need to really stop and think. So all these problems that are coming up, whether the airlines will collapse or not, you want to do business, you've got to understand that you're going to work on the fundamentals of the business. You do all your pricings and plot different scenarios.
I mean, is it that we're leaving out the part that we probably wouldn't be having this conversation? We understand that right now it probably might just be a global concern in terms of, you know, the cost of diesel or petrol, however you want to put it, because even in the United Kingdom, prices have actually gone up. But of course, other people would say the infrastructure, the basic things of life makes it a little bit easy for, you know, people to go about their businesses without necessarily feeling the impact because they have a good transport system. But are we also leaving out the fact that if we really should not have any business, you know, exporting our products and importing it back?
I think that you are really repeating where I started from. So two of us are effectively on the same page. I started with the fact that we have no business getting the crude, sending it out and importing it, you know, back. 7 years down the line, please tell me one concrete. And you know, this has been a problem over the past 20 years. As we are talking, which of the parties, which of the presidential candidates is giving us the sound bite on how to address this problem? This is where our attention should be. Whether it is Muslim ticket, whether the PDP is from the north and APC is from the south, this should not be the conversation today. The conversation should be, Mr. Dumebi Kachiku, yes, you are in ADC. Yes, we've not heard from you, but please tell us, what are your programs and what are your projects? All the different presidential candidates, there's so much, you know, fanfare about Mr. Peter Obi. Amazing. What are you putting on the table? Let us throw away parties and look at 18 human beings, 18, and start to profile them and zero them down, you know, based on what we are doing, zero them down to the people that are giving us the sound bite on the basic and fundamental problems of this country. Well, so I think that you and I are on the same page. Why are we importing this, which is why we're having the problems? And number two, yes, go on, you wanted to say something.
All right, then. On the Leadership newspaper, you have the Yobe senatorial ticket, and, you know, it seemed like there might just be an electoral issue or concern right there. And he says, why I won't step down for Lawan, Ahmed Lawan, Bashir Machina is quoted on that. In the sense that he's saying that he contested this election. I mean, unopposed, however.
It was Lawan. It was Lawan himself, as Senate President, that gave us an electoral act. That electoral act is very clear on processes of becoming candidates. One, you go through the primaries and you are elected. Once you are elected, you cannot be substituted. You cannot, except on two grounds. Ground number one, that the person dies. Ground number 2, that the person willingly withdraws. Without these 2 grounds, you cannot, the party cannot unilaterally, like they used to do before, substitute somebody. That was brought about by Mr. Lawan himself. Now he wanted to be president, and he didn't fly. And he now says, you know, there's a story, let me just quickly tell you the story of a dog that had a bone in his mouth and went to the river and saw a reflection of another bone. The bone was dancing, it looked bigger and all that. So he threw away the small bone and dived into the river to pick the bigger bone. And he spent all his time, and when he was tired, he said, rubbish bone, go and sit down. Let me go back to my bone. By the time he went back to pick the old bone, one good dog had already come and carried the bone and gone away. So he lost because of the greed of picking a bigger bone instead of being contented with the bone he had in his mouth. I think that that tells my position and disposition. Mr. Lawan should just go and rest. If he cannot be president or vice president, he should know that there are the 3 C's of life: the chances that come your way, the choices that you make, and the consequences of the choices that you make. The chances, the choices, the consequences. He had a chance. He made a choice, and he must live with the consequence.
23 years after, one would be asking, I mean, what exactly, you know, you should probably take the back seat. But of course, Electoral Act. I think so. Electoral Act, you have reps debate motion to override Buhari's veto on Section 84, subsection 8. That's what you find. That's on the, you have that on the Daily Independent and on the Leadership newspaper. It also talks about it as well. It talks about, you know, that part of the Constitution. Reps move to override President Muhammadu Buhari on Electoral Act amendment. Do you think that this, you know, the members of the House of Representatives have what it takes? So do you see, you know, the will and the strength to push through with this motion?
The very first thing is, I don't know why they should waste their energy on that. For the simple reason that the processes have already gone. That's going to be for the next set of elections and all things like that. And actually that the president failing or refusing to sign that, I think it will eventually come back to be passed again for 2 reasons. One is, unless we go back to direct primaries, which is something I'm going to take up with INEC as a life ambition, for them to set templates for direct primaries. That is what is going to stop all this. You know, a lot of times the reps people, what is interesting to them is that they want to be delegates so that they can go and make the money that people are making. They were so upset that they were not delegates, and the money that was being shared, they were not part of it. So I don't think that they will actually override Mr. President for 2 reasons. One is that their self-preservation is always paramount, and they are not sure if they will come back. And as a result, you know, those that are coming back may want to fight for it. Those who are not coming back may just look at it and say, let it fly, let it go, rather. So I really don't see anything. Whether they override or they don't override is one issue that really does not catch or sustain my attention.
Now, that's quickly as we begin to, you know, coast it down. On the Punch newspaper, I mean, there's several interesting headlines, and we're hoping that we have your perspective and thoughts on this one. It talks about, you know, the pensioners, and you're having PENCOM saying that only Lagos, Delta, and Kaduna, including 2 other states, pay pension. Ezekanya, what do you make of this?
Number one, I think it's maybe I don't know whether it's from the headlines or from PENCOM. They are being mischievous. If you've listed 3, you could as well list the 5 states. That's the way I look at it. Because now, once there are 2 other states, it's just like you go for election, pray that you don't have 1 vote, have 0. The moment you have 1 vote, everybody's like, I was the one that voted that 1 vote for you. So you are better off having 0 and nobody talks to you. And because one of my friends was telling me that he had about 39 votes. But the text messages he has had is over 300. Honorable, you know I supported you, you know I voted for you. And he had 39 votes. Meanwhile, he has over 300. So when you say Lagos, Delta, and Kaduna, and 2 others, every governor is going to say, I'm one of the 2 others. So they should have just listed the 2 other states.
I understand the argument of 2 others, but I'm sure that beyond the headlines, if you go through it, it probably might just be mentioned at the end of the day. But let's talk about the fact that we have 36 states, including the FCT, and we're talking about just 5 states at this point, not necessarily being very. I mean, so what happens to the 31s? If I'm not mistaken,
it's one of the things that I've taken up with these people all along, and that is that they don't prioritize the retirement of people who have worked all their lives, because the pension scheme is a management scheme for retirees. That's why it's pension, you know, and all your life you have worked understanding that at exit, this is a strategy for you. But now governments, they constantly deduct all these monies from the workers, to the best of my knowledge. So I think that NLC should really sit on every state government and be part of the remittances and be part of the management of PENCOM and you know, the remittances basically, and then be able to secure, because one day they are going to fall into that trap themselves. I think it's, you know, unacceptable by any standard or stretch of imagination. If you say that your state is not part of it, make it clear to the people that your state is not part of it, and maybe have your local rate. But if it is by law, then we should be a law-abiding country. And I so far have not, apart from the time of Minor, I've not had on a general basis of general abuse of the PENCOM, you know, funds and things like that in Nigeria, to the best of my knowledge. So I think that governors should be held and made to account for the deductions they've been making by the workers.
Okay, interesting. Let's see how all of this unfolds as we proceed. But it's just very, very saddening. I mean, it is saddening. One would only imagine what these persons who have actually worked and they deserve this. It's their right. They're entitled to it. And you have them being deprived. If this report has anything to go by, it's quite saddening, and it's inhuman. It's almost on. I mean, one would say it's not very fair, but we're hoping that the relevant authorities would, you know, look into this and come up with a solution. Ezekiel Nyaito, there are too many issues right here, from the issues of, you know, power supply. It feels like we'll just have to grapple with whatever to go through. Now, the president okays the TCN to unbundling of NEC and orders 5,000 megawatts delivery in, I mean, we're talking about July the 1st right now, 5,000 megawatts to be delivered. We're looking at over 200 million Nigerians. What difference does that really make? And why should we be grappling with, you know, 2,000 megawatts, 3,000 as the giant of Africa?
You know, there are conversations that the media should look into. For instance, I'm in ADC. In fact, as we speak, I'm actually at the airport on my way to Ekiti to campaign for a candidate, you know, ADC candidate. But I would say this as an analyst. Some days back, we saw Peter Obi, you know, boarding to go to, I think it's Egypt, to find out what they did. Now, that's the sort of thing that we should put pressure on every single person who wants to be president. For instance, the presidential candidate of the ADC, yesterday, Mr. Kachiku, it was a major team set up because of the large networks he has across the world on power. Now he's going to be able to tell Nigerians what he's going to do. These are the sort of sound bites we want to hear. I don't want to hear all this, oh, maybe in the next we'll bring another 5 megawatts and things like that in a country. When you know what is going on in other countries, it's not rocket science. So we need to start to put pressure on everybody that wants to be the president. Everybody. All this issue of big party, small party has to come to an end.
But Ezekiel Nyaito, I'm sorry, because we have to go in no time. The question now would be, is it that we don't understand what the challenge is? what we're faced
No, we
with.
understand what the challenge is.
Don't we understand the
what
troubles
challenge
with the
is.
power sector in Nigeria? Do we need to go understudy other countries to understand what is going on in our power sector? And
No,
what the challenges are?
you don't go to understudy what is going on. I heard that your hairdresser makes your hair really fine. So I come to you and say, please, who is your hairdresser? Because I want my own to be as good. So you are not going to understudy, we're going to see the solution. And these solutions are generic. They are not location specific. Power generation is global. If Israel could solve theirs, if Egypt could solve theirs, if South Africa could solve theirs, how did they do it? Bring the people in, solve ours, and we move on. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. That's what it is.
We understand exactly what's going on in our power sector. It's just that, like you mentioned in the course of this conversation, you talked about sincerity. It probably feels like it's an ingredient that we really lack. And that's also hampering on other sectors of our economy.
I agree with you.
But that's how much we can take this morning. Thank you so much for your perspective this morning on the headlines. We look forward to sharing more of your thoughts as we proceed in the course of our shows on The Breakfast. Thank you once again, Ezekiel Nyardo.
Thank you. God bless you. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
All right, and that's the size of our conversation this morning. We always come through with the papers, looking at the front pages and bringing you great insight, analysis with great analysts right here. We will return tomorrow. In the meantime, let's take a break and tell you what happened today in history. Stay with us.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture and highly cerebral minds who have a lot to say. And yes, we are talking. It is important we drive the right conversation that informs, inspires, influences thought and action. If we say there's beauty in our diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture. We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation as we are the hope for the future. Yesterday's conversations shape today. What are you saying to shape your tomorrow? We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
Na 500 naira they collect am.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Na 2,500 I dey pay.
Still the breakfast in Plus TV Africa. We have Diro Adeyemi, who is a former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. He joins us as we look at the possibility of having 24 Oyo lawmakers move to impeach the Deputy Governor over alleged abuse of office. You have some members of the Oyo State House of Assembly initiating an impeachment process against the Deputy Governor, Rauf Olayinka. They made this petition known via, the plenary that was brought to the assembly at the time. But we'll just get straight to it and share Mr. Diro Adeyemi's thoughts on this issue. Good morning, Mr. Diro. Once again, thank you for joining us.
Good morning. I'm happy to be with you this morning.
What do you make of the situation right now in your state? I mean, the impeachment process has been accused of fraudulent activities and misbehavior. And a number of persons that are saying, hey, we're going to impeach him.
It's quite unfortunate if we are finding ourselves in this kind of a crisis again. because as a political party, we wouldn't envisage that there will be a problem between the governor and the deputy. And it's quite unfortunate in the sense that this is not the first time this kind of an issue is happening in your state. It happened before during Governor Ladoja and the late Governor Alao Akala's era, whereby the Ladoja was impeached and Alao Akala was installed as the deputy. But in this case, what we are hearing is about the impeachment of the deputy governor. And I think belonging to the same political family, PDP, one would have expected them to manage themselves in such a way that there wouldn't be any crisis. But my understanding of the old crisis is the fact that the deputy governor pitched his tent with the APC, that's the opposition party in the state. And what the House of Assembly are saying is that if you are going to APC, or if you have declared that you are joining them, then you don't have any reason to be in the office. Whether this now constitutes an impeachment offense, I'm not a lawyer, is what I cannot say. If I were the governor or if I am a member of the House of Assembly, I will just allow him to serve his term and just let him go. Since he has signified his intention and the governor has made efforts to have another deputy come 2023, there shouldn't be any need for impeachment again or whatever. That's my thoughts.
But a lot of other persons would say that if it has to do with the issue of having people decamp, but even though this is not the case that we have already in paper, the issue here is the issue of misconduct, gross mismanagement of finances and what have you, recklessness. At the end of the day, abuse of office. But if it's anything to go by, with the fact that he's pitching his tent with another political party, there's been several cases of recent times, with persons who have decamped, for instance, from one political party, the governor of Cross River State, he used to be a member of the People's Democratic Party. Of course, he decamped to the APC. And then there's been a lot of court declaration and judgments regarding scenarios as this. And so one is wondering why we constantly have to have this particular situation. But leaving that aside, if you think about the issue of misconduct, is the law not very explicit about how this should be handled?
I agree with you, but I lay the premises just to let you know that there's no smoke, there's no fire without smoke. And what I've told you is the political angle to the whole issue. If, however, you want to charge the governor for misconduct or embezzlement or whatever, we expect them to go through it in a legal way, in such a way that will not bring another issue of legality. If you're accusing someone, yes, you have to query him. He has to answer the query. Either you bring him to the House of Assembly or whatever. Go through the normal process and let's see what's going to be the end. But I know the whole thing is political, and we don't need it as a political party right now. That's why I'm telling you that it has more political undertone than the accusation they are leveling against the deputy. But whatever it is still politics.
How do we solve the issue? Because at the end of the day, it feels like we're already having serious concerns about having individuals moving from one political party to another. For instance, you were elected under a certain umbrella or party, however it is, and then afterwards you move away. How do we put a stop to all of this? Do you think it's necessary to end it, or should people or individuals be allowed, to move from a certain political party even after they've been elected under the party to another party?
It is not a policy or personal principle that I fancy at all. I don't like the idea of people not having a principle of staying with a political party. Waking up as a political party, sleeping as a political party, as a member of PDP, and waking up tomorrow to be regarded as a member of APC, it makes mess of our democracy. And I think I'm not too sure if the new electoral law has taken care of that angle. Until we are able to get that right, we will be messing ourselves up politically, because it's not right. When you get a mandate from the political party and you now use that mandate to move to another political party, it should be condemned by all. But unfortunately, we have the electorate who are not even taking these things seriously. Because if they are, if I vote for you as a member of PDP, and you now come to APC, definitely I'm not going to follow you. I follow my mind, and I follow the ethics of I follow my mind. And I will stay with the political party I believe is a political party. I believe in their principle. But this is not the case with Nigerian politicians. They only move to political parties just because they want to contest elections or because they want something else. Once you are not satisfied in a political party, or even if there is a crisis, you stay within that political party and settle whatever is the misunderstanding. Jumping fence or the campaign is not the solution, because where you are moving to, there are more crises you are going to meet there. But unfortunately, this is the situation we are in Nigeria. I think there should be an instant law that will forbid anybody who has crossed from a political party to another to contest any election or to even participate in major activities of that political party for a period of 2 years. Maybe that will stop carpet crossing.
But do you think that will stop carpet crossing? If you have mentioned, do we need extant law? We haven't been very fantastic with obeying laws. We have seen even those in the highest offices not respecting the law as they should to the letter. Don't you think that it boils down to the fact that we have political parties that do not stand for anything?
So I think the major problem is the people who are going to make this law, they know how to circumvent it, because in the process of making the law, they are already planning how to violate it or how to evade whatever is going to be the punishment. That is why they are not being categorical to establish a law that will forbid anybody from crossing to another political, because they know within themselves that they are going to do it. And if this is if the purpose of electing them as lawmakers is to make those laws that we put our democracy in the right path and stop making mess of all these carpet crossing, I think they will do it. But we still need that law. And I think it's not only our legislators, I think the judiciary should also assist in ensuring that they put a stop to it. We need the assistance of everybody. The judiciary, the legal, the NBA. If our legislators will not cooperate, there are ways of putting it on them that we need this thing for our democracy to go.
So being a stakeholder, I mean, you're a former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, and I'm sure that you're still a member of the PDP. How would you say that this case should be resolved? What would be the solution to all of this issue? Because you have also mentioned that this is more politically motivated than what we have on paper, which is gross misconduct and what have you. What do you think should be the solution to this issue right now?
I want to believe PDP as a political party has too many issues at hand to handle. And part of the issue is the issue of the vice presidency.
Well, unfortunately, we seem to have connection issues with D-Ron Adeyemi, and as soon as we're able to establish contact with him, we'll definitely return and continue this conversation. We're also hoping that we have a legal practitioner join us soon so we can look at the legal implication of all of this. Please stay with us.
can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, Plus TV Africa, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajitumobi.
It's still The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. We apologize for that break. We still do have Diro Odeyemi, who's with us, former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party in Oyo State. Thank you so much for being part of the show. Unfortunately, we're unable to, send that direct thank you message. We appreciate your time. We will take a break now, and when we return, we're looking at the second conversation, a possibility of having diesel being sold at 1,500 naira in the next 2 weeks, according to the marketers. Stay with us.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Na 2,500 I dey pay.
This Medan has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
We now start hearing the shoot of gun.
Whatever I've done.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye. Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. By no question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity. No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event
on Plus TV. Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Now, there's a possibility, according to the Natural Oil and Gas Suppliers Association, hinting of an increase in the price of diesel in the country. The national president of NOGASA, Bennett Corey, said, if you go around now, you will see that about 75% of filling stations in Nigeria have gone out of business, and there is no diesel to take fuel to their stations. All of them are going down. It is not that fuel is not there, but the cost of bringing it to the station is too high. We know that crisis between Ukraine and Russia has contributed badly, but the government has to do something fast. Otherwise, we're going to buy diesel in the next 2 weeks at 1,000 to 1,500 naira per liter. As far as I'm concerned, nothing for now. The only way out is, if you want to know, is that the government should increase the price of fuel a little to reduce the money spent on the PMS subsidy. I know Nigerians will not be happy to hear this, but this is the only solution. They should increase the price of fuel a little so that the savings will enable the Central Bank of Nigeria to have enough foreign exchange. According to Korea, if the government could bring down the rate at which it's spending foreign exchange on PMS import, it would help all the businessmen who import diesel to bring in products at low prices. We do have Chief John Kekiocha, IPMAN National Secretary, joining us this morning. It's good to have you join us and be part of the conversation.
Thank you. I'm with you.
All right, Chief John Kekiocha, can you quickly tell us what exactly the situation is with diesel right now in Nigeria?
The situation is just very pathetic. It is just a reflection of our planlessness in the Nigerian petroleum industry. There's that clamor for Nigerians to ensure that the refineries are working. And because the refineries are not working, we don't have any option than to import products. And business has to do with the dynamics of demand and supply. Because of the Ukraine-Russian crisis, it has affected globally the petroleum industry. But for countries that do productions in their areas, this dynamic does not play much. But because we are dependent on importation, even when we have refineries that are not working, we don't have anything other than to face the crisis as it is. Absolutely all of us are aware that the Naira has lost much value. And of course, if we are going to import this, we have to import it at the international market. And this has to do with the cost of dollar vis-a-vis Naira, which all of us are aware that is very, very abysmal. So we don't have any choice because this is the situation we have created for ourselves. If we had our refineries working, the crisis in the Ukraine-Russian problem wouldn't have affected us. And all of us know that the diesel has been deregulated. By deregulation, it means you have right to get your diesel at anywhere you can and sell at any price. But because we are not producing, we don't have any option than to import. And definitely, we must face the music as it is. Yes, it is strongly believed that in the short time, diesel will get up to 1,000 or more. But do we have any choice? We don't have any choice because we didn't plan ourselves properly, awaiting this crisis period. So we don't have any option that to take it headlong. Except God saves us, the Ukraine-Russian war comes to an end, and the situation is normalized. But however, the end point is that Nigerians must wake up and ensure that our refineries are working. The Ukraine-Russian war has come. It will possibly come and go. Another issue might arise, but equally affect the same, and will come back to the same situation. So the best bet is our refineries must work. That's the situation.
I'd also like you to, further explain if the situation that we have at hand, instead of having businessmen, those who are importing diesel, because we know that there's no subsidy for diesel, and this persons who are importing this product, asking that the government should subsidize it, because you understand at the end of it, you would have the masses paying seriously for the brunt of it. So could it also be the concern of some business persons who are thinking that, hey, government should bear the brunt? Because if you look at it, the cost of this is also a global concern. It's not just limited to Nigeria as well. So why do you have the marketers in the middle of this?
The marketers don't have much to do. Importation of products at this time, especially it has to do with diesel, and recognizing the fact that it has been deregulated, anybody can import this into the country. So it's not about the marketer. Yes, it is not easy for the government to still go ahead to subsidize diesel. Because as we speak, fuel is being subsidized. Nobody talks about kerosene. Nobody talks about aviation fuel. Nobody talks about some other ancillary products that come out from the refining. We are clamoring because of diesel, because most of the industries and companies that use diesel, a lot of them are folding up. Such a situation, the best bet of this country is we must wake up and do the needful. Marketers don't have much to do because the only source of diesel comes from the government. So that's the situation. A situation where many filling stations are closed up. If you buy diesel and run your station for a day, what you make is not commensurate with the cost of running the station. That's when we talk about fuel scarcity. Many stations are closed because they cannot run their system because of the cost of diesel. It is a chain reaction, and it will continue to go like that. So it's not a marketer's problem. It's a consequence of planlessness.
It's not a marketer's problem, but are you also saying that it's not also a concern that, you know, that diesel should be subsidized? It's not that that's what marketers are asking for. Away from that, you also have the Natural Oil and Gas Suppliers Association's president saying that the only way to solve this issue of not having to buy diesel at the price that it's been put out between 1,000 naira to 1,500 naira per liter is that the government should increase the price of fuel per liter. That would help. How does this solve the problem?
It does not in any way help the situation. It is not in any way going to help the situation. Increasing the price of fuel goes further to increase the pains of Nigerians and increase the pains of those companies and the industries that use diesel equally. Everything boils down to increasing the debt, the financial predicament of the country. We are supposed to do the needful, and the value chains are becoming very bad. That is why when we said we should deregulate, the regulation cannot function if the refineries are not working. If the refineries are working, making their production, individuals can equally import. Based on dynamics of demand and supply, product prices can come down. But a situation where you go and deregulate and you don't produce, definitely you must face this kind of prices. It's inevitable.
No, but I mean, let's even go further with this argument. You have the president, like I've mentioned, is saying that the increase in the price of fuel, a little, would also help in enabling the Central Bank of Nigeria have enough foreign exchange, because the issue right now is a foreign exchange concern. And so if the government increases the pump price of petrol, I mean, there's an increase in fuel price a bit, it would help in savings of foreign exchange for the central bank. It would also make it easy for products to actually come in. So you're saying that that doesn't solve the problem, it will cause more hardship. I'm wondering why there's no unison, because, you know, the Natural Oil and Gas Supplier Association president is thinking differently, and you are also thinking differently. So how do we help us understand the situation better?
When you say you should increase the price of fuel in order to assuage the pains of importation of diesel, it's still 1 and 10 pence, the same situation. If you increase the price of fuel, you are making the people to suffer more. Absolutely, Nigeria depends on fuel for its movement. Nigeria depends on fuel for their household usage. If you go and increase the price of fuel, you have to further increase the pain of Nigerians 80%. Even at the price you are buying fuel, now people are shouting. Go and increase the price of fuel further. You are cutting for crisis. Yes, we accept the fact that the diesel cost is too high. But we still check the percentage of Nigerians that the non-availability of diesel is affected. Absolutely, the number of people affected by the high cost of fuel is quite very high. Go and increase it further, and you see that the economy is crashed, and the suffering of the people will increase. We must do the needful. We must ensure that we look inward and see how our refinery will work. That is the best way to implement the problem.
But do you think that, having our refineries functional up until now, we're talking about how long have we gained independence, and we don't really have a refinery that's able to help us refine our products. We're still exporting and having to import. So, I mean, how can that be? We're talking about in the next 2 weeks that people would have to buy this product. A lot of businesses are very dependent. Apart from, the filling stations themselves, you have this businesses, several businesses are dependent on diesel. And so how much of this diesel can this, businesses afford, and how long can they continue, to sustain this product, buying this product at this rate, looking at all of that? I mean, it's going to be a catastrophe. But the concern here that has been raised is that foreign exchange is the problem. Foreign earning is the problem. And that's why the proposition is saying that government could bring down the rate at which it spends foreign exchange, or is spending on foreign exchange on PMS imports. If it would do that, it would help all the businessmen import diesel to bring its product at a lower price. So that's why I brought the question to the fact that, is it that businessmen are not willing to take, the brunt of how the economy is turning down, and then they're pushing it back to the government, to push it back to the citizens, and then the people would suffer. But so that's on the one hand. On the other hand, do you think that foreign earnings, foreign exchange is also a problem right now?
Absolutely.
So which of them?
Absolutely, the foreign exchange is quite very high. Our Nigeria is losing value every day. What can we do? It is just the economy was not well planned. Our dependence on oil has been very high. Oil becomes one of the primary source of income of this country. And therefore, if anything affects oil, they affect the economy negatively. You understand? So if we don't look inward and see how we can make our economy improve vis-a-vis the dynamics of the international economy, this situation will always reoccur.
So what can be done, to avert this situation right now?
There is no immediate, there is no fire brigade approach to solving this problem. There is no fire brigade approach to solving this problem. Because this kind of solutions are something we would have expected long before now. But we have seen it before our nose. So definitely Nigerians are facing it. That is why when we want to look at the government, we must look at government that has focus, that knows what it takes to harness the economy, think inward, and know how to ensure that immediate crisis like this does not arise. But if we don't plan well, we will always have this kind of crisis.
That's all right. Well, thank you so much, Chief John
Thank you very
Kikiocha,
much.
for being part of the breakfast this morning and sharing your thoughts and giving more insight to the possibility and the issues surrounding diesel scarcity and the increase in its price. Thank you so much. We wish you the very best as you go about the course of your day.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Chief John Kikiocha is the IPMAN National Secretary. Once again, thank you. That's the size of our conversation this morning on The Breakfast. If you missed out on any part of it, it will be all right to be part of the conversation via Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Messi Boko. The news comes up at 9 o'clock. Stay with us.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
You may want to ask why murals are important. It is no secret that murals make neighborhoods beautiful. They add color to building walls and streets which would otherwise go unnoticed. They are treat for locals and tourists alike. Murals have been part of Nigeria's cultural landscape for thousands of years. The term mural became popular with the Mexican muralism art movement. The transformation which took place in the history of mural art during the 1920s and 1930s was highly influenced by the government's sponsorship in Mexico. The Mexican President Alvaro Obregón began a nationalist cultural program in the 1920s. As part of this program, the Mexican Ministry of Education and other government entities to create public murals. In Lagos, the visual effects of wall paintings are an excitement to attract public attention to social issues like the ones here under the Falomo Bridge. An artist, Poli Alakija, created these murals on the columns in homage to the Bring Back Our Girls, the 276 schoolgirls who were abducted on April 14, 2014 by Boko Haram. We speak to an artist, Ebenezer Omole, a 34-year-old who started off as a child and has been painting for many years. This is one of the locations where he has some of his works. He explains the processes involved.
There's a way I blow this color. When you look close to it, you see as if it's flowing down, So I have to follow the flowing down, then blow it both left and right. So in order to make it creative, so that it won't just go down straight, but go left, right, and zigzag like that. I mix another black thicker than this, then to write what they have here. Especially like this is, we have food here, then we have swimming pool here, then we have games, then we have drinks here, then we have pools, music. So I just did an artwork that will speak for this place because this is a restaurant. So I did those backgrounds so to speak. So anybody coming inside, looking at this place alone, so they will know what is going on around there.
He speaks on the distinguished effects imbibed in artistic painting than ordinary ones on the wall.
Ordinary painting is just maybe changing the wall to a particular color that you like. Mural is very interesting, and I used to say it. No painting is complete without an artwork like this. So for your painting to come out well, so you need to add some artistic to it so that will make it more, because a lot of people in the world, they cherish artwork. Now, for example, now, this is lion. A lion represents a king, and the writing here, so it's all about this place, because this restaurant is not just a restaurant, it's a reggae restaurant. So that's why we have most of the color here, reggae color.
Ebenezer further explains that murals are a mode of expression for artists in every graphic style imaginable, abstract, photorealistic, expressionist, to name just a few.
Anyone who is into painting and had a mural painting into his work will get more job than just ordinary painting. No matter how bad situation a building have, when you design it with artistic, even though if it is hot or old building, when you paint it well with this mural artistic painting, it adds more value to the building, and it makes Lagos look more beautiful than
As a community centerpiece, the wall painting gets a new dimension as a powerful visual communication tool meant to promote the opinion of the people and transmit social and political messages towards unity. Murals bring art into the public space, and because they occupy public spaces, are accessible to everyone regardless of class, education, or ethnicity.
Good morning, I am Khadijat Balogu, and this is the news brief. The Nigerian Senate has urged security agencies in the country to be discreet in collaborating on intelligence gathering and sharing to prevent future attacks by bandits and insurgents. This was just as the chamber condemned the recent attack on St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, and mourned the killing of worshippers. This formed part of resolutions reached sequel to the consideration of a motion on the killing of worshippers in Owo, Ondo State, sponsored by Senator Ajayi Boniface.
Varying degrees of fatal injuries. Senate further notes that the attackers deployed dynamite and heinously massacred aged persons, women, and children at St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo. Senate notes that such massacre could lead to inter-religious conflicts and ethnic war in Nigeria, and further notes reports of killings of Nigerians across different parts of the country. Accordingly, Senate resolves: 1, to condemn in strong terms the attack on St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo and the killings of worshippers. 2, observe a minute's silence in memory of victims who were killed in Owo, Ondo State.
The Senate, in its resolutions, accordingly urged security agencies to intensify efforts to investigate the matter with the aim of bringing perpetrators to book, and as well as deploy drones and helicopters to monitor forests and ungoverned areas in Nigeria with the aim to identify illegal camps of armed bandits throughout the country. Education hiccups in Nigeria may be getting some respite with some infrastructure support from the federal government. 109 satellite-based educational centers across the country have been approved by the federal government. Each senatorial district will get one for its primary education. The reports.
The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, who briefed on behalf of Ministers of Education and Innovation after this week's Federal Executive Council meeting, also hinted that the Council has approved the upgrade of 12 airport control towers and communication systems at the contract sum of 9.988 billion naira with a completion period of 9 months.
And I don't think because we're having challenges with the university, lecturers, we should stop, primary school students or secondary students from, continue with their education. And I wish that the ASU issue is as simple as many of us think it is. I don't think it's that simple, but I want to assure you that a lot is going on behind the scenes. And I think probably the Minister of Education will be in a better position to give you the details. But like any government, I mean, if we're not concerned, we'll not set up all the committees we have been working on. If we're not concerned, we'll not be looking for means to even assuage the feelings of the union.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, announced the repeal of the 60-year-old Fire Service Act of the Nigerian Fire Service. The Minister of Justice has consequently been directed to present a new enactment to the National Assembly with a view to upgrading the efficiency and effectiveness in the operations of the men of the Nigerian Fire Service.
The Council approved the enactment of the Federal Fire and Rescue Service Establishment Act 2022, which is meant to bring into currency the operations and professionalism of the Federal Fire Service in its delivery of service to Nigerians and establishments in Nigeria as it is expected. And with this act, that the Attorney General is required to process and present to the National Assembly for review and ultimate passage.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Works also got approval for the rehabilitation of the 91.94 kilometers Kanchibile-Takum-Shanshage Road in Taraba State for the contract sum of 68.983 billion naira.
And on electoral matters, members of the House of Representatives have called for a veto to overrule the President on Section 84, subsection 8, which he has refused to assent by invoking Section 84, subsection 4. The lawmakers made this known at plenary on Wednesday after many lawmakers lost their seats due to the President not assenting to the electoral amendment by both chambers of the National Assembly. Emmanuel Ehijene completes the report.
Honorable Ben Igbakpa, representing Ethiopia Federal Constituency from Delta State, raised the constitutional point of order citing Section 58, subsection 8 of the 1999 Constitution, which empowers the National Assembly to enact laws and as well override the President with a 2/3 majority of members' vote. But the Speaker asked him to come by way of a motion to enable the House consider the override or not. Honorable Ben Igbakpa complained that despite the fact that lawmakers were called from break to debate this special section for the improvement of the electoral process, the President abandoned it to attend to other assignments important to him.
For me, it is just a battle that is lost. The war is on, and that we should go ahead to make sure that that law is retooled, made clear, and if it requires this Parliament to take action to override what has not been signed, we should be willing to do so.
Honorable Toby Okechukwu, while supporting the veto, lamented the poor showing of members of both chambers of the National Assembly at the just concluded primaries. He said the Electoral Act as being practiced without the amendments painstakingly made by lawmakers has been weaponized and used against democracy, stating that highest bidder have taken advantage to hijack the process.
This constitution gave us the powers, just like it gave to them. We must wake up as a parliament where we pass our laws and we are sure that we have done the right thing. We should start overriding Mr. President, because this is just the beginning. Today, NDDC Act is in force because the parliament, which we are part of, did it. Why are we afraid? Mr. President has not committed any offense. What he has done is the rule of law and the Constitution.
While ruling on the motion, the Speaker listed all the conditions under which lawmakers could override a veto successfully. He said it is not automatic to override the precedent, stating that it can only happen if the House is convinced, and that will be by 2/3 of the whole House.
For us to override, I believe we require 2/3 majority. And it cannot be by voice vote, neither can it be by way of signatures, unless, of course, you have enough 2/3 by signature. So what I would suggest is that you bring the application, a formal motion or notice, so perhaps tomorrow or whenever you are able to do that. And then we'll determine whether or not this House is ready to override or not. I think that's the way to go. That's the proper procedure.
Now, Peter Obi has been described as a competent, versatile, and a detribalized Nigerian that has the capability, and acceptability to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari. This compliment came from a group of Labour Party presidential aspirants. The group complimented the old breed politicians like Abubakar Atiku and Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu for their contributions to the development of the country so far, but said it is time now for a change of guard, with Peter Obi in the driver's seat for a better and prosperous Nigeria.
For those of us that are students of history, we are aware of the antecedent of Peter Obi and how he was able to transform the economy of Anambra State to what it is to be known today. And for that reasons, we don't want to speak too much grammar and to let the people of the South political zone knows that we are solely behind Peter Obi. They are our brothers, and what we want is unity. And just like what Osibajo said at the eve of the conventions, that you don't vote for someone whom you don't believe in, and we seem to stand on that track of record. And we are here today to do solidarities for our brothers whom we have the same common interest, common alignment together for way long. And to let Peter Obi know wherever he is today, that he may not be aware of what we are doing, but wherever he is, we are behind him, and he should know that whenever he's coming to visit the northern allied state, we'll come out in mass to give our maximum support. Thank you.
The People's Democratic Party governorship candidate in Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke, has disclosed that the amended electoral law has made it impossible for anybody to steal his votes in the coming July 16 poll in the state. Adeleke spoke after receiving the former Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Kolapo Alimi, and his supporters into the PDP at the state party secretariat in Osogbo on Wednesday. Kolapo Alimi, who led hundreds of other APC members, said they left the APC when they could no longer cope with the impunity in the party, especially that which was displayed at the just concluded primaries in the state.
This crowd is not a fake crowd. It's not a rented crowd. This is for real. Osun is moving. Osun is talking. They're saying loud and clear they want Imole right now. I thank the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Buhari, who signed the electoral law. The electoral law that he signed, he has already decreased the rigging So I believe that a lot of people of Osun State, they are more wise. They are ready to defend their vote. So I don't believe it's going to be possible. It's not by force to rule. People have to decide who they want. And I believe it is me, Senator Ademola Nuruddin Adeleke.
Shortly after his inauguration, the governor of this state, Alhaji Isaka Gboyega Oyetola, started the politics he started defensive politics against those people he perceived as loyalists of Ogbeni Aregbesola. We have cried out to so many quarters without any solutions. And Aregbesola himself is a big weak. He cannot move out. But those of us that can no longer withstand the heat that Oyetola is using against us, we have to move out. And we know that by the grace of God, Governor Oyetola of APC will lose in this state.
People should expect a mass mobilization. I mean, the PDP, you understand, preparing for, the July 16th, election. You understand, we are fully ready. People should expect PDP. We have been doing our house-to-house campaign. We are doing our campaign from local government to...
And in Oyo State, Senator representing Oyo South Senatorial District, Kola Balogun, has formally defected from the PDP to APC. Balogun's notice of defection was contained in a letter addressed to the President of the Senate, Hamad Lawan, and read at the start of plenary on Wednesday. According to the lawmaker, his decision to defect from the PDP was due to the lack of internal democracy in the party at the state level for the emergence of leaders and representatives.
These developments had laid the foundation for the failure of the party at subsequent polls and also stand to jeopardize the political future and the interests of my people who had worked assiduously to get me elected in the 2019 February elections. Rising from the meeting of the key stakeholders in my district on 27 April 2022, my people unanimously decided that I should resign my membership of the People's Democratic Party as they were ready to also reign and decamp en masse with me into the All Progressives Congress with immediate effect. This notification becomes exigent in order to intimate the distinguished members of the Senate with the recent political developments in the PDP-led administration in Oyo State and the direction in which my people and I are presently focused. Yes, thank you. Signed, Senator Kola Balogun, APC.
Kola Balogun defection brings the number of APC senators in the upper chamber to 70. Bishop Matthew Kukah, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto, has called on political parties as well as their supporters to play by the rules in the June 18 Ekiti governorship poll elections. Kukah made the calling at Ekiti, the state capital, just days to the governorship election.
Kukah, who is the convener of the National Peace Committee, says he is committed to the peaceful conduct of the poll on Saturday.
We again appeal to all the political actors to ensure that they do not see the signing of the peace accord as a mere formality and a photo opportunity. May the friendship exhibited here follow you through the elections. And please note that at the National Peace Committee, we are exploring the possibilities of strengthening this accord so that those who sign it appreciate the weight, the consequences of their breaches.
INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu, during the signing of the Peace Accord meeting, assured the electorate of credible polls, stressing that the Commission will not bring disadvantage to any political party.
No credible election can be achieved in an atmosphere of disruption, violence, and disorder. It is therefore important for everyone to maintain the peace. The success of the Peace Accord rests on three pedestals: the political actors, the Independent National Electoral Commission, and the security agencies. Speaking for INEC, I wish to assure the Peace Committee of our commitment to transparent and credible elections. Working for the last 12 months Since June 2021, when we released the timetable for the Ekiti governorship election, it is inconceivable that INEC will undermine itself, especially on election day and beyond. I want to assure you all that the votes of the Ekiti people will count.
Some of the candidates expressed confidence in the ability of INEC to conduct a free and fair election.
I want to believe that having signed the accord, not for documentary sake, and having physical handshake with everyone, we hope for a better Ekiti and a peaceful one on Saturday.
I'm just pleading with the military and paramilitary and those who are supposed to protect lives and property to be up and doing. This time is so sensitive. Everybody is scared, and we're just praying that the fear would not, scare the electorate away from the polling units.
Nigerians express mixed feelings as they look forward to the candidates who would become the country's president in 2023. That's on Street Views. Take a listen.
We should vote wisely so that things will be better, because masses are suffering now. In our own perspective, we see future, but in the hands of our leader, they can manipulate it.
I foresee future, because if we can vote the right person, I think Nigeria will be great. We have the ruling party, and it will be a difficult to be for junior party to overcome the ruling party. It will be very difficult. For my own opinion, I think I prefer Peter Obi.
The government used poverty to control the masses. Because when there is poverty, somebody that don't have 1 square meal to eat in a day, and a politician comes and gives him money to vote for him, the followers don't have any other option than to vote for him. Nigeria has no future. We have no future for the instance that those that we are clamoring to become our leader, our president of today, are all of the same feathers.
Well, what I know is that I must vote. Whether they count it or not, whether anything they like, they do, but I will believe that God Almighty that we are serving will give us a good leader in Nigeria. That is my belief.
If they can follow the word, or if you can consider the people that they are following them, if they can pity them, because most of what they are saying, they are different people. But if they can change with what they are saying, and they can follow what they are saying, we have a future bright in Nigeria. Now, I don't prefer anybody, but only God can choose for Nigeria, so that it's going to deliver us in 2003.
Nigeria is already dead, but I don't know about our good leader that is coming, whether good or bad. They'll be saying things, all those promises about us every day, and the country is getting more worse. But we pray, and the future will take care of itself if anyone believes. Oh, they are no good, but we will still give them a chance, because there's no youth to step up for the future. For me now, it's Atiku, because it's chop by chop, because he's a good man, even though he's a Muslim, he still cares for the Christian.
How many youth today, they chase the money, they believe in present, they will never think of the future. Say Tinubu, because I believe he must have done a lot for the country in the past, but we can't judge the past with the present. But we can still give our try and see what he's gonna do for the next election.
And onto other parts of Africa. The Rwandan government said that it was not discouraged by the cancellation of a flight to deport migrants from the United Kingdom to Rwanda because of legal challenges, and that it remained committed to the partnership. A first flight was due to take off from Britain to the East African country, but it was cancelled following a last-minute ruling by European Court of Human Rights.
We don't think it's immoral to offer a home to people, something that we have done here for more than 30 years. and we're doing this for the right reasons. So people may have their own opinions about what this program is like, depending on where they're coming from. But from where we're coming from, we're doing this for the right reasons. We want Rwanda to be a welcoming place, and we'll do our best to make sure that the migrants are taken care of and that they're able to build a life here.
We, of course, raised concern about what these asylum seekers could face in Rwanda, where we have documented, serious human rights violations. Rwanda is known for, quite a number of human rights violations, including infringement on the freedom of speech, freedom of peaceful assembly, disappearances, attacks on opposition organizations. So for the next week's meeting of the Commonwealth community, we really would want to send a message to all state parties to the Commonwealth to call on the UK and Rwanda to stop this deal. It's really saddening to see Rwanda that holds Pan-Africanist values.
And outside Africa, police have found human remains in their search for British journalist Dom Phillips and Brazilian indigenous expert Bruno Pereira after a suspect confessed to killing them in the Amazon rainforest. Detective Eduardo Fontes told a news conference that the suspect, a fisherman who had clashed with Pereira over his effort to combat illegal fishing in indigenous territory, led police to a remote burial site where the remains were unearthed. The news marked a grim conclusion to a case that has raised global alarm, hanging over President Jair Bolsonaro at a regional summit and stirring concern in the British Parliament. The United States has announced a fresh infusion of $1 billion in weapons for Ukraine that includes anti-ship rocket systems, artillery rockets, howitzers, and ammunition. The U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said that the latest weapons packages for Ukraine included 18 howitzers, 36,000 rounds of ammunition for them, 2 Apan coastal defense systems, artillery rockets, secure radios, thousands of night vision devices, and funding for training. The 8 packages, which come as Austin is meeting with allies in Brussels, were split into 2 categories, which are a transfer of excess defense articles from U.S. stocks and other weapons being funded by the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative, a separate congressionally authorized program. And in business news, latest figures by the National Bureau of Statistics have shown that Nigeria's inflation rate has again set to 17.71% on a year-on-year basis. It stated in its CPI and inflation report for May 2022 that the latest figure is a 0.22 percentage points lower than the rate recorded in May 2021, which is 17.93%. The report also revealed that the urban inflation rate increased to 18.24% year-on-year. This is a 0.27% decline compared to 18.51% recorded in May 2021. And in entertainment news, late veteran actor Yinka Ogundaisi has been buried in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. The village headmaster actor, who died on Wednesday morning at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, was buried on the evening of the same day in Ibadan. Some report online claimed that the deceased had suffered paralysis of his legs, which resulted from complications of twisted intestines, hernia, and enlarged prostate. And that's the news brief from Plus TV Africa. For more updates, follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Khadijat Balogun. Many thanks for watching.